Today we will have a class with Dr. Umar. We honored to host a very special guest speaker. Uh, Thank you once again to Dr. Umar who can attend to our class today. Today's session is part of the session from Undip Global Classroom. So, I hope everyone is doing well and ready to insightful and engaging discussion, of course, with Dr. Umar today. For background, I will represent you to Dr. Umar. He is a senior lecturer from Department Media and Communication Studies Faculties of Art and Social Science at University Malaya. So before we begin and brief introduce to our speaker, maybe we can start the session with photo session for documentation, if you don't mind. So before it begin, I would like to invite to our participant to quick use virtual group photo session. So please kindly turn on your camera and give your best smile. We will take a few screenshots for documentation process. For slide. So the first one, ready? Now, okay. One, two, three. Okay. Okay. Okay, and then the second one is one, two, and three. I think it's enough. So I will uh, next to uh, introduce to our speaker. Uh, so about Dr. Umar, special guest today is Dr. Umar Hakim bin Mohasri. So as I mentioned before, he is a senior lecturer from Department of Media and Communication Studies from Faculty of Art and Social Science at University Malaya, Malaysia. So Dr. Umar completely his bachelor degree in Media Arts and Technology at Foster Institute of Technology in New York. And later pursued both his master and PhD at University Malaya. So, he was awarded the graduate one-time recognition for his doctoral achievement in 2024. So, Dr. Umar have some specialty, have some expertise to other uh, media story. So, uh, Dr. Umar have research expertise in lies in transmedia storytelling, particularly within the animation industry. His work explore how major franchise such as Bobo Boy or Agent Ali. So this animation is also shown or streamed on Indonesia. So I think it will be relevant to our student, of course. We also mostly know about, like Upin Ipin, Bobo Boy, this the have some issue, of course. So, um, develop Dr. Ali developed complex narrative world across multiple platforms. So, Dr. Ali also published extensive in reputable international journal indexed by Scopus and Web of Science. Um, so in addition to his academic contribution, Dr. Umar also bring practical experience in digital transformation, media production, and strategic communication, making his insight maybe it will be really insightful for us today because the material will be so relevant with our study. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the time today lecture is strategies of for multi-platform production and transmedia storytelling. Today, Dr. Umar will uh, give to us about this material. So in today, rapidly evolving digital landscape, storytelling is no longer confined to a single medium. Instead, it expands across platform, creating immersive experience and deeper audience engagement. So, of course, this season will provide to us with valuable perspective, of course, and how to design and develop such strategies effectively. So, before we process this class today, I would like to inform you for a few rules maybe. Yeah. So please keep your microphone mute during the session. If you have any question, feel free to write them in the chat box. So we also, in the end of the class, we will have a Q&A session to Dr. Umar after the presentation. So without further ado, it will my honor to invite Dr. Umar Hakim bin Mohasri to deliver his lecture. So Dr. Umar, the floor is yours.
All right. Hello, everyone. Uh, so let me test my audio first. So is my voice clear? Is my
Yeah,
voice okay?
it's clear.
Okay, good. If there's problem, then just cut me off and then let me know, so that I can, fix things on my end. All right. So I can see that the committee has shared my screen there. Thank you very much. But first, I would like to express my gratitude and deeply honored to be invited and share my research with the colleague uh, across national boundary. Yeah? So here I'm in Malaysia and then I'm sharing my research with you guys over there in Jakarta. I think. Yeah. So I'm hoping that the topic that we have here is on on content production, specifically multi-platform content production. And although we are in different locations globally, the idea or the practice is quite similar, I would say, because of the globalization. What we have here in Malaysia, also what you also have there in Indonesia, you have access to social media, you have access to contemporary media format like film, radios. So all in all, I can see that we both share a common thing in terms of the practices that have been done globally. And also, when I did my research, I would like to not kind of share that the core idea or theories is adopted by the Western ideologies, yeah? Because like it or not, in terms of entertainment, in terms of media, technologies, the Western are in the front in terms of the technology, in terms of the way they did media. So all in all, it is not that the Western is the best at all things. We in Southeast Asia also have our own strength in terms of how we use things. It is just that there's a common ground in terms of the theories and in terms of practices. So can we go to the so for today's the for the for the topic of strategies for multi-platform content production, I'm specifying the topic for today um, to the title of making sense of convergence culture. So convergence culture is an idea, a theory which I will explain later. So can you go to the next slide? Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So just quick profile. Thank you very much for the moderator that introduced me just now. Uh, just a quick relevant experience that I want to share with you guys. Of course, I am the lecturer here in the Department of Media Professional Studies, but I'm also editor-in-chief for the Malaysian Journal of Media Studies journal. So if you guys have interest to publish your research, you can contact me. And then my research is on transmedia storytelling, also multi-platform content production, immersive technology, and also Malaysian animation. So previously, before I go to academia, I am a publishing officer in the in a publishing company, a book publishing company. So there, I handle ebook production. So my past experience is more towards towards book industry. But within the book industry, I deal with digital content as well. I deal with digital format like ebooks, webbooks, and things like that. And then also manage a couple of portfolio regarding different media format that we can use in our department. All right, next, that's it on me. Can you introduce the next slide? All right, so I did ask you guys to fill out the form. Just a quick form. So can I share screen for a little bit so that I can share the result of the yes. So let me yeah. Can I share screen?
Yeah, wait. We will take this real first. Okay, you can share screen, Dr. Umar.
All right. So you can see my screen now. Can you see the screen? Yes.
Yeah, we can see
Okay.
your screen.
So thank you very much for the participant. So when I asked you guys about the result, the question, right? So I'm asking about media format, which are the best for capturing on this education. So it seems that the majority of you say that social media is good, but some of you are saying that broadcasting is also best, and also microblogging, right? And then the question still on social media, which is normal because nowadays social media are quite impactful, especially for the young audience. That's why you think that social media is a strong media platform. But when I see when I ask question about impactful and credible, the survey is quite diverse. It is not social media the strongest one, but broadcasting television might be the good credible source information, right? And then what about younger generation? Perhaps social media, which is logical. And then last question, all in all, which are the best? And then 91% of you are saying social media is the best. So I'm asking this because I want to see your perspective on which media format or media platform is kind of the best to use, right? So all of you, majority of you say that social media is the best. But I would argue that traditional media, like television, magazine, and newspaper perhaps in digital format can be good as well. They still have audience, but this is argument, right? That's this argument things. And then we also have books. Books are still very much strong, uh, especially in the entertainment industry where you have novels, then you have adaptation, book adaptation, right? So, okay, so this is, I can stop sharing now. Stop share, and then we can share the slide, right? All right, share the slide, right? Right, go to the next slide. Okay, thank you very much for the committee for being patient with me. Just a quick activity there. So what I want to highlight is actually in the media industry now we have some form of anxiety. Like we have too many platforms and too many formats. The younger audience are liking social media, or perhaps they have some perspective saying that social media is good, but we go to the business end, it seems that uh, people are still using a lot of other media platforms like television, radios. They're still going on and they're still relevant. So, but the impact is that we have too many things that we have to think about as a media practitioner, right? And then the second anxiety is that we are lacking for fun measurement. So how much is too much? I mean, if you have an amount of money for an advertising campaign, so how much is good to be invested into different platform? For example, if you have a message or campaign, how much should you put on social media? How much you put on advertising on film? How much should you put on advertising on TV broadcasting? And how much should you put on radios? So the measurement is there, but there's no profound measurement, meaning that there's no exact strategy on how many to put. It's just going for trial and error. So media practitioners, especially those that in a senior executive, they all have their experience whenever they want to try to invest into this different media platform. But the thing is, the issue is that there's no common ground. Different company have different strategy on doing that. The third anxiety that we have is that audience expectation, meaning that consumer nowadays are diversified. Some like social media, like younger audience, but only audience like more on television, still watching news on television. But for our younger audience, they use social media for their news. So this fragmentation, this diversified audience can really create anxiety for media practitioners in a way that how can they reach everyone? Or if they want to reach certain group of people, how can they reach effectively in terms of the utility of different media format? So this anxiety is well known in Western, in our country Malaysia, and I'm sure in Indonesia as well, because we have a lot of stuff that we have to think about, right? Even in the small subset of the industry, the advertising, different platform have different costs, different treatment. Meaning that if you want to advertise on TV, there's different cost to it, and you cannot use the same content to social media. You have to change to social media, and that requires cost as well. So to understand or to make sense of this anxiety, there's a couple of scholars that try to explain or at least to find out patterns so that the media practitioner can optimize they can optimize their strategy to fit or to respond to the anxiety. So next slide please. So that's why for today, I want to introduce to you a concept called convergence. Uh, Convergence is one of many theories that we have in order to explain the anxiety that we have in terms of the ones that I explained just now. So convergence actually the literal means of convergence is together to mix together, but within the context of technology and media, convergence refers to the merging of distinct technology that involves data and videos into a single device. So our smartphone is one of the convergence. Like our tablet, our PC is a form of convergence. So um, within the media industry, there's a concept that being born, which is what we call multimedia, right? Like what I did just what we did now, the presentation is multimedia. I have a voice, I have a screen, and I also embed some Google Form. So these are multimedia features for our presentation here today. But we also have cross media, another concept, and the last another aspect, another different term, we also have transmedia. So these are terminology that we use in academic and also in practice, in media practice, so that we can make sense of what we have nowadays, the differences in diversity media format. So next slide, please. Next slide. All right. So there's one theorist called Henry Jenkins. In 2006, he published a book called Convergence Culture. So, when we talk about convergence, the theory itself is very broad, very big word. It's very big concept. Yeah, convergence can be medium convergence, such as when we converge social media with television. So right now we have news, right? We have news outlet that use social media. That's convergence, and we also have national conversion, meaning that we different country they converge together their medias. And there's also institutional conversions where media conglomerates, they buy different subset. Think of like a Disney as a company, right? They buy Marvel Studios and then they buy Lucasfilm for Star Wars, and also they buy another media companies. Uh, they buy newspaper company. This is what we call institutional convergence. So a big media company become bigger, become conglomerates. Here in Malaysia, we have Media Prima. Media Prima is a parent company for newspaper, for television, for social media channel. So this is what we call institutional convergence and also technological convergence. Like I said before, where we merge different technologies together. But when we go to specific theories, I'm inclined or I'm very interested to share with you guys a theories called Henry Jenkins. Yeah, so in his book in 2006, which is about 20 years ago, yeah, uh, he published a book called Convergent Culture. And with this convergent culture, he tried to explain this anxiety that we have, and then he tried to explain the characteristic of convergence in terms of social construct. So instead of looking at technologies alone, instead of looking at medium, looking at institution, why don't we think convergence of like a social construct? Because at the end of the day, consumer is the key element. Like you and me and the audience, these are the key elements that are consuming the content, consuming the media. These are there's the group of elements that are impactful within the industry. So Henry Jenkins proposed to look convergence to social construct. So next slide. Alright. So convergence culture refers to the flow of content across different platforms and the active participation of audience in creating, sharing, and interacting with media in ways that were not previously possible. It encapsulates both technological convergence and cultural convergence. So, convergence culture, according to Henry Jenkins, is two parts. The first part is the flow of content, meaning that instead of looking at the medium, why not we look at the content itself? So, how does the content flow across different media formats? How does the content go from books to films to TV series and to comic book, for example? And then the other subset of it is the active participation of audience, meaning that instead of just looking at the convergence, we look at the audience itself, how they react. Right. So next slide. Right. So these are the characteristics of convergence culture. The first characteristic is that it is a cross-platform content distribution, meaning that content nowadays will not exist in just one format. We have to accept that. In terms of convergence, content will definitely exist in different formats. So regardless of different industry, for example, if you go to journalism or news, we can see that content exists in newspaper, in digital format and print format, and then also, hello, good.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah. So we got content exists in different diversified format. So I said just now about news and journalism. What about if you go to advertising? Still advertising, we use different media format for one advertising. Yeah. Now we have like social media advertising, we have still traditional advertising on TVs, but we also have product placement on films. So it's also very inspiring. So regardless of whichever industry, we are seeing this cross platform. Even in education, like teachers nowadays use different format to teach, yeah, to teach their students. Like even in education, we can see this. And then the next characteristic of convergent culture is that what we call participatory culture. So there's the side of content is flowing across different formats. In regards to the audience is not passive audience. It's not just audience that only look and then consume the content. The audience nowadays are engaging with the content itself. This is something that Convergence Culture are trying to propose. So audience is not someone or elements that have that is not active. Audience are some audience are elements that are very active in terms of sharing, creating the content itself. So they are willingly to join with the content. They are willing to join creating the content, to join discussing about the content. So audience in convergence culture is an active audience. We have to admit that. We have to know that. We definitely have to understand that audience nowadays are participatory, which means that if you are a filmmaker, for example, when you produce a film, when you premiere a film, you will know that your film will be discussed online because your audience will definitely wants to share their own thought about your films in online setting. These are very different 50, 70 years ago, where audience is just a passive consumer. They just see their films and then go back home and then perhaps talk with their spouses or their family. They are not going to share or create new content for the film itself. So nowadays, these are very, very relevant. And then there's one the concept called transmedia storytelling, which means that the stories that's being developed in convergence culture is now involving different media format. So we are seeing that if a campaign, an advertising campaign, for example, the campaign does not exist on one platform. So the campaign will definitely adopt different media format. So the campaign might start with a good television advertising, but it has a tails of social media posts. It have a tails of perhaps advertising on radios. You know, these is converging everything together into once. So in content industry, in film, for example, you can see that the story itself does not exist in one film. It can exist in comic book, it can exist in novel, it can exist in game, for example. So that is what transmedia storytelling is about. Next one, next slide. So, another characteristic of convergent culture is what we call blurring of the rules. So, previously, 50 years ago, we know that the producer will produce content, the audience will watch the content. We have this very strong separation, right? So, the filmmaker will make films, the consumer will see the film on cinema. But nowadays, it's not clear who's the producer because the audience itself can produce content. For example, there's a filmmaker that do films, and then there's an audience that create commentary on the film, like review feedback, or some audience pick music and then mix and match different things together and create a new video on and then post it on YouTube. So both are producing. The producer are producing the film, the audience are also produce content for the film itself. So both are doing the producing part. And in terms of consuming, both are consumed as well. The producer that produces the film will consume whatever the audience trying to produce because they want to understand what the audience wants. So the roles are blurred compared to what we have 50 years ago when consumer and audience are distinct. And another characteristic is corporate and consumer convergence. meaning that you can see a pattern nowadays where corporates and consumer are merging together. They are talking together. They create a forums. They even in Western, for example, or in Malaysia, we have what we call Comic Con. If any one of you know Comic Con is, so where the company are going there to advertise whatever films that they are trying to produce, and then the audience themselves are going there to talk with their filmmaker on their thoughts, on their comments, sometimes having signing activities. So they are converging together. Some companies even ask the audience to be preliminary audience, meaning that before the premiere of the film, they ask the audience to see first, a group of audience to see first to see the reaction. So we are seeing this fun characteristic of convergence. Yeah. So next slide. All right. So the ecosystem, I've said about producer and audience. So the convergence culture, we have this ecosystem of producers and audience. So the ecosystem is based on different motivation from both sides. The producer, they are motivated by economic logic. They want to be profitable, they want to be sustainable. So meaning that they want to stay alive as a company. The audience, while facing a goals, they want to be entertained. Nowadays, in convergence cultures ideology, audience wants to immerse into the story world. So it is not just they want to see the story, they want to go into the story, they want to enjoy the story world, they want to enjoy the characters, they want to share the emotion, they want to share the conflict. So they want to discuss with each other about the conflict. They want to do everything about the story world. So this, of course, the term that I use quite quite resonate with film industry. But if you go to K-pop industry, for example, you have the producer of K-pop like BTS or Blackpink or whatever group, K-pop group, right? But you also have their audience that form, that have their they are motivated, really motivated to know about the team, to know about the BTS, to know about Blackpink. They go into forum, they go into conferences, they go into this fan meet to discuss about particular K-pop. So this is not just on film industry. This also goes beyond the film industry, goes beyond TV series. It goes to the entertainment industry for K-pops. We can see that even in the music industry, you can see that with fan meets and fan activities. So next slide. Alright, so there's a relationship between producers and audience. So the producer, they will engage in the media storytelling that I explained just now. And the fan, the audience will create a fan community and they follow the logic of participatory culture. So there's a relationship between producer that engage with the media storytelling and audience that participate into the content. So, convergence culture explain this relationship and understand, or at least try to explain this relationship. Next, please. Right. So now we are going to touch media storytelling and participatory culture. We are trying to understand these two distinct concepts. So for transmedia storytelling, Henry said that the story should unfold into multimedia platform. So the story should not be into one format. The story should be exist into different platform and different installment. That is first step. The second characteristic is that each of the installment should be individual, should be independent compared to another. Meaning that if there's two film or if there's film and TV series, the film can be enjoyed film alone. It cannot be watched with TV series. Meaning that the storytelling will have its own beginning and ending, and the for TV series must have its own beginning and ending. So which means that audience can enjoy both without having to see both. So these are the second characteristic. And the third characteristic is that each medium, whether it's film or books or game, should provide their own expertise. Meaning that in film, audience get to enjoy in cinema with friends, with families. But for TV series, audience can stream online. So different experience are being offered here. And then if there's games, then audience can engage with content through gaming system. So there's different way of enjoying the content with transmedia storytelling. So next slide. So these are the characteristics of transmedia storytelling. So it expands across multiple platforms. So if you see one brand that expand periodically, meaning that it engages with transmedia storytelling. So first it begins with book and then adapted to film, for example, and then goes to a TV series and then games. So these are the features. And then no single entry point, meaning that audience can start whichever set. It is not required to start with normal, for example. Audience can start with game and then go into films. So I'll give example after this, but no single entry point, meaning that uh, there's not one uh, point of entry, but more point of entry, meaning that the producer are producing diversifying content so that different audience can enjoy different things. This to respond with the anxiety of audience fragmentation that I said just now, where audience are diversified based on their interest in using different platform. So no single entry point wants to respond with this anxiety. So another aspect is called additive compression, meaning that each new installment, each new film, each new thesis add another layer of information. So there's no repetitive, right? So adaptation is when you adapt the same stories to different media platform, meaning that you have novel and then you adopt into film, but same storyline. This is not transmedia storytelling. Transmedia storytelling is when you adopt from novel to film with new information. There's form of extension there. So this is what we call additive compression. There's new information every time the installment came out. Next slide. Okay, another characteristic of transmedia storytelling is what we call world building. So generally said that usually when we create a film or we create the stories, we begin with characters, right? We begin with characters. Sometimes we begin with a story itself. But within convergence culture, within just the storytelling, the story depend on the story world. Yeah, story world. It's not based on character now. It's not based on story. It is based on the story world. Yeah, for example, if you look at Naruto, for example, if you know Naruto as anime, right? Naruto begin with a character, but now as a franchise, it is not relying on Naruto anymore. It has Boruto as well, with different character. But what is the same element? The story world is the same. The ninja, Japanese ninja kind of theme is the same. So these are what world building is. So the transmedia storytelling is a world building process. You create the story world so that your audience can enjoy the story world, not the each character, not to focus on one character, rather to provide the story world that audience can enjoy. The last idea of transmedia storytelling is that everything needs to be coherent. Meaning that if you have multiple content in different platforms, you have films, you have TV series, you have games, everything needs to be coherent. So if it is not coherent, if there's conflict in terms of stories, in terms of characters, audience would really be annoyed and would not be very keen to continue to enjoy the story world. So coherence and unity is very important in mass media storytelling. So next slide. Right. Oh, another part that I want to add is called intertextuality. So intertextuality is a term that describe there's a similar text being shared across different formats, meaning that there's similar characters, there's similar references between different film and different TV series. These similarities is what the audience really enjoy. Later I will explain how, but bear in mind that the term intertextuality means that there's a connectivity between different storyline. Yeah, from TV series and from films and games, there's interconnectedness that really bound everything together into one franchise. So next slide. Right, the transmedia storytelling is on the producer side. So the producer now understand, okay, now we are understanding convergence culture, we are engaging with transmedia storytelling. So what happened with our audience? So Henry Jenkins described that audience will actively participate in creation and circulation of the content. So audience will foster sense of community, meaning that fans, audience will form a fan community. Audience that love the story world, will be together, and then they will engage with the content in community rather than individually. So they will go to forum and then discuss. They will go and they make YouTube videos to discuss. They will go into microblogging, and then some go into fan meet and then try to discuss about the content. Some are going to enjoy the games together. So these are the telltale sign. These are a sign of participatory features of audience in the current age. Next. So these are the characteristics of participatory culture. Okay, next. Next, please. So I've said about the blurring of consumer roles that I explained before. So and then there's a grassroots versus corporate media. Grassroots means that there's a conflict between producers and audience. Producers are producing their content, right? So they should have the autonomy. They should have the control over the content itself. But with convergence culture, audience being participative, they are producing as well on YouTube, they are producing on social media. So this sometimes the content conflict with the actual content. So it creates some form of tension between producers and audience. Right? So producers want to be original, but audience want to be explore. Yeah. So using the characters, they draw the characters, and then they engage with different characters to make up their own. So sometimes producer are going to legal battle to their audience, but sometimes they're not. So these are something that really what makes comedy culture interesting, because now we are seeing producers and audience communicating in relationship with one another. And then affiliation with communities is where the fan itself are not be individual. They always will stick together and form fan communities. This is what we call knowledge group. It's where people of shared interest are sharing their knowledge together about the story world. Although the story world is not fact, the story world is fiction, but they love it. They like to solve mysteries about it, and then they like to talk about it. And then with that, they assume what we call hunters and gatherers, meaning that they will go to film and then take information from film, and then they go to TV series and take information about TV series, and then they try to make sense. Sometimes the producer themselves intentionally to put mysteries so that audience are trying to solve it. So this is what happening in convergence culture. Next slide. All right. So how does participation shape audience in conversion, in the conversion? So these are the 5 points. So next. So by participating to transmedia story, fan based creation audience can gain creative agency, meaning that instead of just relying on producers to create new contents, they themselves are being the content producers. This is what I call creative agency. So they have the power to create on their own. And with community existed, they can actually work together and collaborate together to produce content that is originally produced by the producer, but they are expanding the content on their own based on their own motivation. So this gives sense of ownership, meaning that although the IP, the intellectual property is owned by the producers, audience have sense of ownership. When they create the content, they're not trying to copy, or they're not trying to plagiarism the content. They are just enjoying the process of creating, drawing, the making of videos, and they feel sense of ownership over this content. Next slide. So what happened is audience are now influencing media. So 50 years ago, the media company, they have the power. Whatever they produce, then the audience have to consume. But nowadays, with the participant culture, they're influencing the media production. Meaning that producers have to listen to what the audience wants, then act accordingly. So this what there's a pull and push relationship between producers and audience. Next slide. And then access to creative platform. So with participant culture, the collaborative platform such as forums are becoming more popular, and YouTube, blog, fan forum are becoming more proliferated, meaning that there's a bunch of site for forum. We have wiki. Every fiction out there should be a wiki page that explain about the story world, and then people can do forum about it, and then there's fan communities. So access to community platform is becoming more and more stronger and more visible. We can see. Perhaps 50 years ago we do not have Comic Con. I mean, in Malaysia 10 years ago we do not have any Comic Con, or we do not have any conferences for comic book lovers. But now we are seeing every year they did a conference on comic book. They do a cosplay. So this is happening in Malaysia. I'm not sure in Indonesia, but the trend is coming. Right? So cultural participation as power. So these activities of participating is not just an activity as hobby. It's a symbol of power. I mean, at least in the context of convergence culture, power means that the action itself have some form of forces that can push the direction of the stories. We can, if any one of you are very aware of Marvel universe, like we can see that how the direction of stories goes with what the audience wants. Like the audience discuss online, they talk with their producers, they don't want this character, they want this character, or they hate certain direction of the film, and the producer have to listen. Take for example, film Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool and Wolverine. So without audience support, this film cannot make it. But with audience interest to know to enjoy this dynamic between these two characters, then the producer optimize this interest and then create the film, and lo and behold, they get one of the biggest blockbuster collection with the within the Marvel film. So cultural participation is power. We have to understand that audience have with their participation, it symbolize power. Another example that I would share with you is Army. Army is fan of BTS, right? So Army as community very strong in terms of protecting BTS image. So whenever they see other media backlashing BTS, they will defend it online. So this defense is not paid by the agency. It is a free labor by the audience to benefit BTS. But because they are very motivated with the content, they participate together, and this symbolizes some form of power. Next slide. And another thing is empowerment to knowledge. So we can see that, I mean, the the logic ways to do it is that knowledge is power, right? So, but the weird thing, to me at least, in convergence discussion is that even if you have knowledge about a fictional thing, it's not a fact. Like for example, Marvel and all the characters, it's all made up. Yeah? It's all fictional. It's not intended for entertainment. But if you have the knowledge, it can empower you within the community. Meaning that you can be an expert in the community. You can be a reference point wherever people refer to about the fiction. Look at YouTube videos. Look at all the YouTubers that do what we call review the content, or at least try to explain something about the content. So they are becoming a reference point. Like people see them to get more information. So within participatory culture, we understand that you can empower yourself as individual with the knowledge of the fictional material. That's one. That's right. All right. So all in all, I want to like encapsulate what I thought into one this infographic, this chart, in a way that producers they will through transmedia storytelling, world building plus intertextuality, they produce multiple works, right? So what we call a transmedia narrative. Narrative means that the story, but the story involves so many installments. There are films, there are games, there are TV series, there are comic book, all in one narrative. Right? So on audience side, this participatory culture, they form a community and they get to enjoy the transmedia narrative. So do audience still watch alone? Of course, we have we have audience that just watch the TV series alone, but we are seeing trends of people going together and form community over the transmedia narrative. Next slide. These are the structure that I want to visualize. In that you have the story world at the center. So instead of characters or instead of story, now the center is the story world. So from the story world, it becomes a film. From the story world, it can be comic book. From the story world, it can be video game, TV series, and web or social media in the form of short form content. And it can be novel and books. So this is what transmedia narrative is about in terms of its structure, general structure. Next. All right, these are the global brands. I mean, while they are not explicitly saying that they engage with us with storytelling, we haven't seen any of the directors say that, oh, we do transmedia storytelling. We never or we haven't heard of it. But theories, we have a lot of researchers that try to make sense of these strategies. Right. So again, we have Marvel. I hope that I have Marvel fan here. Right. So we have Hulk, we have Thor, we have Iron Man, all in films, and also we have TV series, right? We have Agent Carter and TV series. We have the new installment of we call uh, the new installment of Hawkeye on the TV series, right? So these are the TV series. Previously, we have new comic book. We have also games for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. These are all interconnected with one another. And we also have DC Universe. Although we will see DC Universe are doing redevelop the characters, but we are seeing the trend as well. Trend of involving different media format and interconnected storylines. We have Star Wars and Pokemon, which begin with games. What? I'm not sure. 30 years ago, games, and then it becomes TV series, and we also have comic book. And Doctor Who is based on the UK content, and then also have Harry Potter. Right? So this, while I want to admit that the director themselves or the producer they're not saying that they are doing transmedia storytelling, but there's researchers around the world that analyze them through the perspective of homogeneous culture or transmedia storytelling. So, like I said before, within this society, the practitioner have to understand certain pattern and then trying to optimize this pattern. And this pattern is analyzed by us academics or academicians to understand what is going on. Next slide. Okay, now we go to Malaysia and we go to Boboiboy as case study. Right? I hope I can connect with you guys on Boboiboy, and I hope that some of you are fan of Boboiboy. So Boboiboy, we have TV series, we have feature films, and we also have comic book. So the element of intersexuality is actually with the characters. So if you can see in the image, the senior characters called Boboiboy can transform into different version of himself with superpowers, right? And then this transformation can combine and create new characters and so on and so forth. So the intertextuality is that not everything is shown in one platform. Some versions are shown in different format and some are shown in others format. So next slide. As you can see here, the version, the first left side, this is my left side, that Mobile Lightning, Earth, and Wind all introduced in TV series. But then Blaze, Ice, Storm, Solar is introduced on movies. So that's interconnected there. And then the next TV series, the next is introduced Mobile Leaf and Light. And then the second movie later on in 2019 introduced Moscow Crossfire, Glacier, and Super. And then there's new installation nowadays. This is not updated. There's new installation of mobile. You can see that introduce other different kind of version like mobile Solar, mobile Sony, and mobile Popeye. And then from the comic book, they translate into another set of TV series, mobile Galaxy TV series, which is happening in last 2 years, that available on Netflix as well. So this version is not exposed just into one media format. It's exposed throughout time and exposed with different media format. This is what we call intertextuality. Right? So, but I want to say also that the TV series have its own stories. The film has its own stories, meaning that if you haven't watched the TV series, you can just enjoy the films. There's no problem. You can understand the storyline. You can understand the conflict. You can enjoy the cinematic fights and everything. But in terms of, for the fans, for those that love, they are tracking for what version of Worldwide are coming out next. So this is what entices audience to know more. So interestingly, if you are if you're a true fan of Worldwide, you can see that there's a fan made art that try to visualize what happened if Worldwide got to different version. So they draw themselves. They are motivated to do it freely without any payment by the producers. So, but with the activities, it benefit the producers, meaning that all the discussion, all the activities of fan hype the brand up. Yeah. So mobile before it goes to Indonesia, before it goes to Japan, and it goes to the Middle East, it is popular on Malaysia first, right? Because the Malaysian, not Malaysian, at least the fan hyping up the content from the TV series. They're not beginning with film, they begin with TV series to get the fan base, and then from the fan base, they get films. And the films became top grossing film in 2016. And then the second film in 2019 also one of the top five grossing film in Malaysia. And it get response well from the Indonesia, from Singapore and Brunei, which means that building up your fan to Tasmania story is really, really beneficial so that your brand is being hyped up and then you can promote the next installment of your film. The next slide. So another case we have is Agent Ali. So Agent Ali, again, I'm hoping that everyone at least have some form of ideas or know about Agent Ali. So Agent Ali itself is existed within different media format. So one of the element is the glasses that the main character wear, like what we call iris, IRIS. So in the top part there, this shown on TV series, different mode of the glasses, different mode. And then in film, they showcase different mode of the glasses. So the connected point here is the glasses. But what Agent Ali did now is actually the world is inputting or increasing the immersion point, meaning that audience can immerse into the story world. So you can see the the bottom right of the box there. There's a scene of Ali and the main characters are doing skydiving. These are on the films. These are shown on the films, but below the image is actually a game, a mobile game that capture the same scene, but you can play the skydiving experience. So we have one scene, the same scene that is featured on films that audience can enjoy, and then the same scene will be converted into games so that people can enjoy the skydiving and the process of saving the victim in the films. So another point that I want to showcase that in the comic book, they explain what the iris is all about. So meaning that you can see the mode of the classes on TV series and also films, but the explanation can be seen in the comic book. So they explain what is it and all the details in the comic book. So this is how they did their multiple content production. So you're using different things to kind of making a puzzle so that audience can enjoy to take this part and then another part and then kind of make sense of the whole thing. Next slide. Next slide, please. All right. So another point of Agent Ali, when we go to immersion is that for the third season of the TV series, they adopt this idea of tournament in this arena. So the initial idea is actually from a game in 2020. So the TV series is published on 2022, but there's a game on 2020 that used a game format called MOBA. Is a kind of a format where you have to defend certain places at such amount of time, and then this game from mobile game it turns into the theme for the TV series. So instead of beginning with TV series and film, now they begin with games and then adopt it into the TV series film. You can see same element within the games of the thing that they have to defend on the left side and the right side. And then the game itself becomes a tournament, become an esport where people can get to compete with another and then actually get an amount of money as prize if they win. Those in 2001. So now I'm hoping to showcase to you all the dynamic of understanding transmedia story, meaning that similar content can be adopted but added more features of immersion or added features of storytelling. These give audience who are very participative to first see the series and then get to play. And then what happened is the brand itself become more valuable as time goes on. But same like Marvel nowadays, as more features is being published, it can maintain the fan, it can maintain their brand quality or brand values throughout time. So for producer side, for the producers, they get to be sustainable, right? They get sustainable by understanding what platform to choose, by understanding who their audience is, and then the audience itself they can participate. They are allowed to participate. They are enabled to participate into the content. But so in Malaysia, I mean these are this animation. In Malaysia, we are see this concept adopted into TV series. So we have this species, I forgot the name, but it's connected to one another. And we have also some film that try to do so. But I haven't put the example in terms of the TV series and films. But I'm just trying to showcase to you all that the animation in Malaysia have done this. Yeah, and then now I'm seeing advertising companies that started to really optimize different media platforms. And then instead of just pushing money to different platforms, they are trying to be strategic about it. So they insert elements so that audience can participate. They insert element of mysteries so the audience can participate, and then they get to host forums and everything so that audience talk about it, hype about the content. And while audience enjoy this thing, it's not that audience are forced to do this. Audience themselves, like Jenkins said, that they are motivated to do that. They love to do that. So they are motivated to that, but producers are trying to enable these activities and hoping that their brands gets to be more popular as time goes on. So next slide. So what we can learn from the conversation discussion, we can learn that nowadays audience are empowered. You and me, we are empowered. Meaning that we are not just passive audience, we have more power. The more you post online, the more power do you have. Like really with films, like whenever you have films, for example, Boboiboy film, you say, oh, this is good film, whatever. So this invite others to watch. So as corporate, as producer, they have to understand that audience are empowered nowadays. The second part is that we have to understand corporate control. So with audience participation, corporate control are not as good as the previously. Right? So they have to understand that while they have control over the legal intellectual property, but in terms of the control over the popularity, the acceptance, the reception, they have to manage that with their audience. Next slide. And then culture innovation. So with participation, people can innovate both sides. Producers will innovate new things, new stories, new characters. We have even if you go to anime like I mean usually we have Naruto and then we have Boruto and then we have many things that are going after that. Here in Malaysia, if you keep track with Agent Ali, instead of just glasses, they have suit now. So they are trying to innovate. And then if you go to the fan side, the innovation are really impressive. The audience themselves, they draw, they create videos out of their own pockets, out of their own resources to reimagine what would be for their favorite character. So, for example, you can see the drawing of Agent Ali in anime style, just not from producers, just from the fan side. So we can see that there's more innovation in terms of the cultural product. And with that, we have new business model. So instead of just producing films of just one films or two film, we are seeing long-term investment. Like we're trying to develop the world building so that we manage the fan 15 to 20 years, like Marvel did, like Star Wars did. So Star Wars begins late 70s or late 60s, I would say. But nowadays they keep trying to produce new Star Wars things, like on this thing, new Star Wars thing. The old story are now becoming the new stories. Now we are seeing the trend, this trend is now because of the fan, because of the audience power. We are seeing this more than new things. We are seeing like same thing being translated over and over, being expanded more, being expanded more, expanded more. And I would really be positive to say that even originally in Mobile, they will expand. So like Mobile, for example, they have new installment like called Bekamato. Bekamato is the father of Bobo Boy. So it becomes a new story altogether, new format together. And then there will be new film that tell about the Papa Zola. Papa Zola is not the main character, but supporting character. But Papa Zola get its own film nowadays. So we are seeing expansion after expansion after expansion, just to get the audience keep keep attention with their brand. Next slide. I think that's it. Yeah. So I'm talking quite a lot. So I'm hoping that I'm, um, I'm keeping this topic interesting, and I'm hoping that uh, I'm clear about some of the information. So I welcome any question if you have. maybe I'll pass back to moderator if there's a Q&A session.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Umar. It's a really interesting topic, actually. I really enjoy how you tell to us story, some, some, uh, let's say like Bolo Boy or Agent Alien, such as uh, storytelling involved across multiple platforms. So, thank you so much, Dr. Umar, for such insightful, of course, and inspiring presentation. I believe we all gain valuable knowledge about how storytelling can evolve across multiple platforms and connect with global audience. So now we will move to Q&A session, maybe. So for participant who would like to ask question, please feel free to raise your hand. Maybe I will choose. Okay, the first one from Azahra, who raised her hand. Maybe uh, you can open mic and ask the question.
Okay, first of all, thank you for Mr. Umar Hakim for your presentation about the topic. Let me introduce myself. My name is Azara Rahma and my last number is 027, and I asked about how can storytelling be optimized for different audience segment and what is the importance for user-generated content in transmedia storytelling. Thank you.
So the first question is about how can storytelling be optimized for different audience, is it? Yeah. So with transmedia storytelling, the stories itself is diversified into different platforms, meaning that you have what we call overarching narrative. So you have one stories for one film, and then you have another stories for TV series, but both are in one big one stories. So while people that like TV series can enjoy TV series, people like film can enjoy film. They both can enjoy both TV series and film at the same time, right? So by having different audience on different media platform, we are providing the content on these different media platform. So we are covering. We should the under transmedia storytelling. We should cover different outlets. Like for example, if you want to produce a film, perhaps you start with comic book, and then you see if there's fan, and then after you have substantial amount of fan, you can create short film, and then after that you begin with TV series, and after that you provide them a film, right? So while you can maintain the cost, because to start with the low cost first, and then if you gain traction, after that, then you can uh, go into the much expensive platform. I did ask Agent Ali producer for animation. I asked them whether it is their intention to produce TV series. They said that they do not want to do TV series. They want to do film. Then their partners, the media prima, their partners say that you have to produce series first to get fan, and then with fan you can develop films. So which means that the move is much more calculated. Instead of just blindly throw investment, they are calculated move. And the second question about user generated content, right? So, like I said before, user-generated content is part of the participatory, meaning that audience are developing their own content out of their own pockets. So, this content will hype up the brand. This is important for the brand to be more popular, while while the audience themselves enjoy to produce it, to get more like, to get more comment. So both are gaining. There's also conflict in terms of the legality, whether it is considered IP copyright issue or not. But these are separate issues of legal. But in terms of gaining traction, gaining popularity, user generation not only satisfy audience because they like to produce, it also helps producer to gain more popularity.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Umar, for the answer. The second one, maybe from Raditya Aryasena. You can ask your question to Dr. Umar.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Umar, for this opportunity. Today, I will ask you about uh, what challenges arise in multi-platform storytelling projects. So, as we can see, every platform has their type of content. So, can you give me like what challenges that we see on multi-platform contents?
Yeah. So when we talk about multi-platform content, it is so desirable. So we like to multi-platform. We like to engage more. We like to have be more. But the issue, the main issue is resources. Meaning that resources can be in form of cost, financial cost, and also in the form of expertise. Expertise, meaning that you have to either do yourself, but you have to learn, or you hire somebody else that is expert to that to do it. So meaning that there's the biggest challenges will be the resources that you have to put forth and the cost to make it. The second biggest challenges is the risk when you invest it. Meaning that when you invest to different media format, you might have one that is not business oriented, meaning that you will lose money from that. But perhaps you can gain popularity from it. Right? So we are seeing sometimes producers are producing free content like free TikTok videos. Right? So this one is very costly to them, but it is for different purposes. Right? So the biggest challenge is to navigate your resources. So when I interview Agent Ali producers like War Animation, they say that the biggest issue really the cost because uh, their their comic book while it's good, it is not going to gain money that much. So instead of they hiring outside people to publish, they did themselves. So Wow Animation is an animation company. They are not comic book company. But because they want to kind of manage the cost, they did themselves. So meaning that they ask the staff to draw to make the comic book themselves. The purpose is simple. The purpose is to capture audience from the comic side. But in order to do that, they have to make sure that the content is not uh, too costly. So one example I would share with you is that in early when the franchise want to start Bobot originally, the comic book is direct translation from the TV series, meaning that it is screen capture. It's not even drawing. Screen capture from the films and TV series and then printed into comic book. So they're not investing into redrawing. But as their company go bigger, like after their success in the first film, then they hire people to draw well. So this is how they navigate. So the main challenge is cost. You want to be able to expand more. You want to be more because the more you have, the more entry point. The more you can cover, the more you can invite audience. But having to have more means you have to have money. So you have to kind of like think about your content, think about what you want. This is same for journalism. This is same for advertising. You have to understand what resources you have and how to first begin the campaign and then keep track from it. Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
question.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Umar, for your point, your perspective. Okay, next, who already raised hand, maybe Novelita Saina. You can ask your question to Dr. Umar.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity, Mas Salim and Mr. Umar. My name is Shaina from Diponegoro University with last number 113. Mr. Umar, I will ask you about what advice would you give to students or beginners who want to work in multi-platform media production? Thank you so much.
All right. So this is based on my experience and how I observe is that for student nowadays, uh, the key things that you should have is to have mature thought process. What I mean with mature thought process is your capability to understand the strength and the weaknesses of each platform. So instead of just doing everything at once, you understand how does one platform is better than another. That's the first one. But to enter into industry, you should have all the technical skills. Yeah. So when there's no job for multiple platform content producer, but there's a job for content producer or content maker or whatever about content, right? Content developer. But as content developer, you have to be well versed into different media format. You have to well versed with graphic design. You have to well versed with video editing. You have to understand the needs of different format. For example, if you are required to perform or to develop a short video, then you have to understand that Facebook have different aspect ratio. Um, TikTok have different aspect ratio. So you cannot just do one and then cut the video, right? So you have to read the video, satisfy both characteristic, both aspect ratio. So understanding the technical things will really help you to be more valuable for company. But then just for you to move into the company. After you are in the company, you have to have the mature thinking. The mature thinking meaning that every step that you take is very strategic. So it's not just do it, but you understand what your company want and how would you do it. Because the mature thinking is something that would be helpful to your company. You have a lot of graduates that have technical skill because to learn is easy. You have YouTube, right? But to have a mature thinking process is hard. How to get mature thinking process? Do a lot. Get involved with clubs, get involved with communities, do things for them, learn about the effects, and whenever you have the more you do, the more experience you have. So at first perhaps you are voluntary, right? So you have to volunteer, you have to do things freely. You volunteer for your faculty, you volunteer for your clubs, you volunteer for your groups back home to do like a very small projects like video editing, you help your community. But later on, when you build up your portfolio, you are becoming more valuable. And after that, you can get a very good position.
All right, thank you very much, Mr.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Umar. And then another question from Michelle. Michelle already raised her hand. So you can ask your question to Dr. Umar. Michelle.
Okay, so thank you so much for the opportunity to Mr. Halim and Mr. Umar. So my name is Michelle and my last student ID is 096. So my question is, how can you measure message consistency across platforms and compare performance fairly between different platforms? Thank you, Mr. Umar.
Yep. Okay, so to measure performance really depend on your strategy. Like I said before, there's not one single measurement for all things. For example, if you go to social media, you can if you go to social media, you can track everything with analytics. Like you can track comments, you can track like, you can track everything, which is good. But for film, you have to understand the reception, meaning that how your audience react to it. So you can ask them, you can go to social media again. But then some things are not based on positive response. For example, like I said before, the comic book, right? When you produce a comic book, more than likely you're not making money after that because there's not much sales. But for fans, they like it and they keep it as the form of novelty or merchandise. Right? So what comic book does is that it can be things that helps to expand or to keep your brand popular. So that requires different measurement. So what I want to say to you is that it depends on your strategy. So you have to talk with the directors, you have to talk with the brainstorming team on what goals do we have. Are we trying to get more exposure or are we trying to get more popularity? Exposure and different strategy. Getting popularity is different strategy. Or are you trying to retain audience, meaning that you want to retain your fan? That's different strategy. Retain your fan means that you give them maintain freely, but they are sticking to you, they are focusing to you. So you lose money, but you gain their loyalty, right? So measurement is really depending on the strategies whenever we do multiple platform content production. So even for advertising, right? So some measurement are very well defined. For example, how much views, how much exposure, how much sales. That one you should learn, you should know about it. But the inherent or the unsaid measurement, for example, the acceptance among your fan is something that you have to figure out on how to get to them to ask them. So the easy answer would be depend on your directors, on the team of brainstorming team, and find the best sets of measurement. Not just one sets of measurement that can tell you whether it is a success or it's a failure. KP. Okay, is it clear, Michelle?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Umar.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Umar. So we have also some question on comment
Okay.
section. Maybe you can answer the question. I will read the first one from Saira. So, Mr. Umar, I want to ask, is transmedia storytelling about expansion or is it about strategic limitation? And what make a platform essential rather than just optional in a story ecosystem?
Okay. So, according to the theorist Elijah King, transmedia storytelling is about extension. The word is extension. I wrote on the chat. Extension meaning that it extend the story. While it can expand the franchise, the purpose is to extend whatever you have on your story world, which means that you can extend the characters or you can extend the supporting storyline. So the idea is to extend the story world, right? However, when you talk about strategic limitation, or what makes platform essential rather than optional, I want to share with you my experience discussing or talking with Agent Ali Producer. So they did comic book and they have games and they have board games with cards, uh, novelty cards, and they have films and TV series. So the valuable things or the things that profitable to them are TV series and films. The other three is just an activity that they did to capture audience and to expand the franchise, right? So when I ask them whether it is intentional or not, they say that everything for them is kind of like a trial error. So they are trying to figure out their audience move, right? So they prepare the game so that they try to understand is there how much gamers that they have among their audience. So they invest in games, and then after that they invest in comic book, and then they see some performance. So what I'm trying to say is that transmedia filtering, at least in context of nation, can become experimental. So you are managing your money, right? You are managing your money. So you have limited resources, but you are trying to be more. You are trying to expand more. You are trying to develop more, but you don't have that much money. So what you do is that you experiment into things that might have, might you might bear the risk of losing money. For example, for games, they did partner with media companies, Media Prima sub company. So what Agent Ali have, if I can share with you, is that they are partnering with Media Prima. Media Prima is a very big conglomerate. They have a lot of company below them. So one of the company is the game developer. So what they have is that the game developer absorb the cost. They just share the IP. So that's why they can do games, right? Because there's one company that is related to them that can share the same IP, that can do the thing without too many costs to the producers. So this is what we call, economic logic. meaning that both trying to gain advantage with one another. That while animation can get more installment with games, they did not pay any cents. Media Prima pay for the cost, but Media Prima wants project for their company. So both are in line in terms of their goals. So they have one games. So with that, they experiment what happened in the game. They did tournament, but as you can see, there's no tournament yet after that one. So it would seem that tournament might not be profitable yet, right? But it is a form of experiment for them to see how their audience would get. Same with comic book. So when they think that comic book is very essential so that they can be relevant. So comic book is cheap in terms of content. So instead of producing film, you can just produce comic book first and try to test the content. So comic book is quite cheap. They don't have to publish a lot, so they can experiment with their storyline. And then whichever works, they try to convert it into different things. So when your question about strategic elimination is more on understanding your audience and first providing them with more content, but secondly understanding what they want. Let me say what makes platform essential or rather optional is based on whatever that you have learned from your audience. Meaning that perhaps your audience are more cinema going, like Marvel. Like Marvel, majority of the audience is cinema goers. That's why they put so much investment into their films, blockbuster films, rather than TV series. So they understand that their audience is more on cinema goers rather than streamers. Yeah. So that really touch media storytelling is a response from the anxiety that I'm talking about. It's a strategic thinking process. So instead of just producing everything in once, you're trying to understand them by experimenting, trying to kind of navigate your cost, not to provide much, not to invest much, but having to bear the risk of failing. Alright, so the next question will be
Next question is from Aura Karenina. I will to ask you what strategies can be used to encourage user generate content within Untrust Media campaign. Thank you and advice.
alright. So I want to give you a case study that we did this semester. My student did in the public relations course. There's a company called Duolingo. Duolingo is an app that you can learn different language. Duolingo. So they have a campaign that they have a like a mascot, a frog, if I'm not mistaken, the mascot. So what they did is that they announced that the mascot is dead. Is dead. I mean, it's dead. Right? So they are asking their users or their fans to kind of find out why or how or what happens to the mascot. So they give them some form of clues and whatever. So this it's a thing that you can do to entice your audience to do more because as I said before, convergence culture tells you that audience are very participative. If they like your content, they want to participate. So if you want to encourage UGC, utilizing content, you should put this thing called negative capabilities, meaning that you insert some form of mysteries or gap within your stories. So these mysteries are what motivate your audience to kind of find out information and then create their own content. If you can use Marvel or you can use Naruto as example, right? So if you go to YouTube right now and then you say what happened to this character, there's a lot of video that tells you what happened to that character. So every video is in UGC, usually character content, right? So they are discussing on what happened to certain character. Is it dead? Is it alive? Is the character becoming stronger or weaker? So every information is there on YouTube because it is being done by the audience, right? So if you put mysteries and or gaps in your stories, you purposely do that so that audience enticed to try to solve the problem. But if you solve the problem by writing this PVC, you usually start with discussion from the forum. So when a person asks what happened to this, And then if the question becoming too popular, we will definitely create another video for it. So I would say provide or purposely put mysteries or gaps in your stories or whatever that you try to do.
Okay, thank you so much for your insight and your point, Dr. Umar. Of course, I think the Q&A session is finished. I think it's enough for the question from our student. So, for student and also international student, you can input the presents on the link, yeah. We already share on the comment section. So you can also input the form, G-form for the presents. Okay, Dr. Umar, because the Q&A is finished, maybe you can give some closing statement or maybe your conclusion about the class or material today.
All right. So again, I would like to say thank you very much, and I'm deeply honored and grateful that the committee had invited me to share with you guys the information about transmedia storytelling. But I would say to you that transmedia storytelling is being coined by Henry Jenkins in 2006, meaning that it is 20 years ago. But why it is quite relevant today? Because nowadays we have diversified media format. We have audience that are accessible to social media. That's why it is now relevant. 30 years ago, social media is not as strong yet, and then the digital platform is not as strong yet. Now we have smartphone, everything can be done with our smartphone. And I want to end with you wondering, what if we have VR and AR after this? What else can we do with our content, right? So you can engage with content 360 degree, front, left, back, up. So now we are engaging just 2D in our face, right? With VR and AR, you can engage in relation to your surrounding and 360. So more things can be done and more things can be extension. Perhaps later on we can have a discussion with our favorite characters. But now we can engage with Naruto by films and by comic book. Perhaps later on we can actually discuss with Naruto, right? So it is an ongoing thing. Perhaps the theories will expand. Perhaps another theory will succeed this one. But I want to say that the idea or the ability to understand different platform would definitely help you in the coming times, especially for the young students nowadays. They have to be aware. They have to be aware of what new technologies are coming and how this new technology can be effective, can have influence of our daily life. So I think that's my end. So
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Umar. Thank you so much once again. The conclusion from today's session, we can draw several important conclusions. So first, we learn that in today's digital era, media has entered what is known as convert culture, where content is no longer confined to a single platform, but flows across multiple media. This shift creates both opportunities and challenge for media producer, especially in dealing with audience fragmentation and complexity of managing various platforms, of course. And maybe the second one is the concept of transmedia storytelling becomes a key strategy in multi-platform production. A story is no longer simply repeat across platform, but instead expand where each platform contribute a unique part of narrative, creating a richer and more immersive story world. So the third audience today also no longer passive customer to participatory culture, they actively engage, create, and even influence media content. This means that the relationship between producer and audience has becomes more collaborative and dynamic. So finally, we understand that successful multi-platform strategy require not only technological adaptation, but also strong narrative design, world building, and deep understanding of audience behavior. At the same time, its conference also reset business models and open new possibilities for fashion in the media industry. In short, the future of media lies in ability to integrate storytelling, technology, and audience engagement into cohesive and meaningful experience. So I think the conclusion we can uh, use that as a conclusion. But before we officially close today's session, we would like to process with a small token of our appreciation, Dr. Umar, as a form of gratitude for the valuable knowledge and its insight that have been shared with us today. It is your honor to present a certificate appreciation to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Umar Hakim bin Muhasri. So the certificate is present Diponegoro University as a recognition of your contribution to the Undip Global Classroom.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, wait. Udah di, ya. Okay, I think it's already screenshot by our people. So, thank you once again, Dr. Umar, for your inspiring and insightful session. It's truly been privileged to have you with us today. On this occasion, we also sincerely hope that this will not be our last meeting. Maybe we will be very delighted to welcome you again in the future lecture, of course, because of your academic activities, because of your experience. It will be a great discussion with our class again. So furthermore, we believe there is a great potential for future collaboration whenever in joint lecture, research, academic exchange, or other collaborative program between institutions. We truly look forward to more opportunities to work together in near future. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Umar, for your time, your expertise, and your generosity in sharing knowledge with us. Thank you, Dr. Umar.
Thank you.
Thank you untuk teman-teman juga yang sudah berpartisipasi. Thank you.
Okay, thank you untuk kehadirannya teman-teman, and also Dr. Umar. Maybe I will izin untuk close the meet today or Zoom today. Thank you so much teman-teman, and also Dr. Umar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And